welcome to the Ars Electronica Futurelab Creative Questions Challenge. My name is Yoko Shimizu. I am an artist and researcher at the Ars Electronica Futurelab. I will be your catalyst and moderator for this talk session. Today we're coming to you live from the Ars Electronica Center seminar room. The Creative Questions Challenge CQC is a 30-minute brainstorming session where two panelists exchange their creative ideas in a dialogue. Instead of finding one answer to a question, we want to explore the question from all angles 360 degrees so that we can expand our creative ideas and vision. Our visualizer, Kirsten, will map all of the keywords, ideas, and questions on our Creative Questions map, which will act as a compass that leads us to the creative vision or mission in the end. And you, the audience, are also welcome to join us. Please post your comments on the YouTube live chat section. The selected comments, ideas will be included in our creative vision map. Today we have two very special guests with us. Professor Elizabeth Goodyear, Chancellor of Mozarteum University Salzburg. Welcome.
Thank you.
And then we also have Horst Hortner, CTO and Managing Director of Ars Electronica Futurelab. Welcome.
Welcome.
And then we also have Kirsten Vladimir, our visualizer. She is an artist and designer of Ars Electronica Futurelab and my colleague. You can find more information about the panelists on our CQC website. So let's start the discussion. Today's theme is art and education, and the initial question is, what is the future of art in education?
If I may start with trying to widen the perspective a bit in order to find the right visions of the talk and missions. The concept that I see when it comes to education is that we are talking about, a huge portion of science and scientific and research work, science that is generating knowledge in all the different levels, like the scientific approach, like the academic world, like the education in the higher education range. That is kind of one realm to contribute to the discussion. So science creating knowledge. Technology there as in this triangle, also super relevant as technologies giving us possibilities. And technology is not only the tools that we use, but also in a form the way how we use or misuse technology, which forms a good portion of our culture already, the way how we use technology and incorporate the technology. And the third portion, that is art. And whereas science is creating knowledge and technology is giving us possibilities, art is creating meaning. Art's been reflecting since the first cave paintings on our contemporary environment and helping us to understand and interpret our environment that we're living in. And from that perspective, this artistic perspective in this triangle is just like circling around in the same way as the others around our society. And in this society, education is a major role when it comes to the future. So the question, what role plays art in our education, can't be underestimated. I think it's a very, very important contribution, especially when it comes to higher education, but definitely not only when it comes to higher education at that point, I think.
I agree completely. I would just comment it a little bit. For me, all three positions, science, technology, and arts, can be and are research-based. So the development of the three has quite different methods to do research or to come to knowledge. Even arts leads to knowledge, but this is another knowledge. And aspects of humanities, for example, intuition, social relationship, the concepts of individuality, concepts of community, concepts of future in specific societies. All these are influenced by the research and the production of these trees. But because, of course, science is producing something, not technology, of course, but also art. And both to research, to go into things with questions, and to go out and to produce something, mental concept, real concept, technology, and to jump in again, and to research again, and to continue to work with this process, is the thing what education has to be aware and to structure with a lot of freedom, I think.
And historically, that never has been that separated as it is at the moment.
You're right.
Like science, technology, and art was more or less one thing.
Yeah.
And we've started to separate them.
Yeah, you're right.
And don't you think it will be about time to kind of get them closer together?
Yes.
Like, they're tearing down the fences in between not only the faculties but also the disciplines.
Yes, I think the magic word is transdisciplinarity or interdisciplinarity. I think you're absolutely right. You know, this digitization we observe worldwide is maybe a kind of key, because digitization is going through everything. So it's inside the body, outside the body, it's in machines, outside machines, it's everywhere. So we can use this technology to go in a new education design. I think this could be a challenge and in the same time the chance really to go to future.
Which is actually super high relevant for Linz at these days, as we all know that our chancellor has decided that this new university, technical university, digital university, should come to Upper Austria. And from that perspective also, I think it's, or maybe a question, do you think that it would be enough to establish the same, how can I say, construction type, but organizatorical construction around the disciplines and faculties as we are used to it, or would we need an entire new understanding of the organizatorical forms of such a university for the 21st century?
Yeah, I think there's a good word which means a dynamic society has a good balance between culture and structure. And in all society comes moments where you are in a quite comfortable zone. You try to secure it. And the more you develop fear because something could change what you can't control, the more you get unmobile, the more you get strict. While I say this in this kind of abstraction is, if we are continuing in that way we are developing universities here in Austria the last years, this model of university will be unable to develop something new and relevant. We are in a kind of over-structuring everything, curricula, infrastructure, quality assurance, everything is becoming now more and more narrow. And I think it would be fantastic if Linz would take the chance, the moment, to develop something new, to find new formats, other kind of way of thinking, not only to think, in German you say Ausbildung, that means you have an idea what should come out. And if we start a study and we now know what in 5 years should be relevant, we are lost. And we should be more aware that everything is in a kind of development, even in the social media, in the digitization, it's an enormous dynamic. And to be aware that our own structure has to be mobile, our own structure has to be open, and no fans anymore.
So how would this new type of university look like, and would there be similar kind of curriculums or learning or teaching methods? Would that also be very different?
Yes.
Well, I think it would be fundamentally different. But the question is it enough to change the curricula, or the organizational forms, or isn't there a fundamental understanding between or expectation what a university should deliver at the end, and also a regulatory form that is keeping some, let's say, experimental or even failures from happening, and that's, in theory, that's a very good thing. In practice, it keeps everybody, slowing down and not to risk too much, because we are not really failure resilient at this point.
You're right, yeah. But I think here with the museum, with Ars Electronica, you have a kind of format which helps universities to develop. I know you're cooperating or collaborating with a medical university, or collaborating with University of Arts, because they need it. And I think this could be a kind of starting point, a kind of model to think about what do you have here, but university doesn't have, or a university don't have. So maybe open space for new experience, maybe labs with a kind of infrastructure which helps to find new questions, maybe new kind of team building, other types of coaching, not teaching, but more coaching. There are a lot of good experience, of a best practice, kind of best practice, you can transfer in university structures. And of course, as a big field of good practice is social media, internet. In former times, education was that knowledge was on the one side and it was transported to another side. That was education. Someone had the knowledge and give it to someone else and try to help him to get this knowledge. Now knowledge is everywhere. Everybody has at once all kind of knowledge. Real knowledge, fake knowledge, all kind of knowledge. It's not the problem anymore to get knowledge from one point to the other. Now we need other competencies to deal with this knowledge in a kind and in team, kind of shared design, which help us to deal with this knowledge in a constructive, creative, and relevant way for society, for future. So it's complete transformation of educational thinking, and there you are wonderful pioneers.
Thank you for that. But there is a question that comes up to my mind. It is, we are not a university, so we are not within the same relationship to the society. This contractual relationship to the society that is raising expectations from a university. And by raising these expectations, structuring maybe in a different way. And I can say, because I'm not really from a university, but you are, and from your experience, don't you think that this is also to a certain degree limiting freedom of science and freedom of art?
Yeah. But you're completely right. I think, but I have to say, the law in Austria is one of the most beautiful law all over the world. Here you have the freedom, innovation, creative moment, really student-centered studies and so on. The law is fantastic. But the way we live this law is not fantastic. We are really, we are struggling ourselves with such a lot of limits in the curricula, in the quality assurance, in the kind of very stricted, limited documentation. So we are in a way, we are much smaller than our possibilities are founded by the law. And this is maybe related to a kind of a contract thinking in society. Society give us the money to do work or to build up universities, to work there. And it's a kind of confidence what the society gives to the institution, that this institution really lives their freedom, their creativity, their knowledge, and also. And now the society, or some of the society, maybe they are not really going on in the right way with this freedom. Maybe they have to do some more activities in the exams, and after 4 years they have to stop, and so on. So the society more and more has fear or no more confidence that we are dealing in a good way with this freedom, and we really do the best we could. Maybe this contract has to be renewed. Maybe we have to give more freedom and more confidence in this contract with answers we need now, for example, in new curricula or new formats, a new way of thinking study, of thinking what this time and this shared work in universities could be. Maybe, and not only for students, also for the whole society. Yeah.
And that was the bell to show us that we're at the halfway point of the discussion. And so far we've had a lot of interesting keywords, and we're now at a point where we want to renew the contract and how the society is working to truly develop creative young creative generations. So how is that already happening in your institution as well?
Yes. Well, I think it happens, of course. All people try, all university professors and administration try to do the best, of course. But with creating new universities for technology and digitization, you see there's a demand, there's a necessity to, the feeling we should find something which help us to go via a future. And I think that's why I said it before, we can learn from other institutions like museum, like a free artist, worldwide projects, social media, internet projects. We can learn about resonance between different human cultures all over the world, and to be more sensitive and more open for really good knowledge, good ideas, good models.
That leads also to this notion of, I mean, we all agree, and whoever I talk to, from whatever discipline or faculty, everybody would agree that we need to tear down the fences between the disciplines, and we need to collaborate interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary. The will is here. And you say the freedom, contractually, the freedom would be given to do so. So what is the limiting factor that this real transdisciplinarity is not happening between the disciplines? There's still, you know, quite high fences sometimes.
Yeah, it's a lot of things. One is kind of structure. It's, for example, the quality assurance of the curricula. That is really strictly a quantity measuring from certain things. So that makes a fence growing. The other thing is it needs more time, more free time. So if, you know, this Bologna system with its credit points is a quantity quantifying studying. They say 1 point in the European credit transfer system is about 25 or 30 hours. So you are not allowed to more than 30 points in one semester. So if you build up curricula with 40 points, they won't accept it. And with 25 points, no. So we have to have 30 points each semester. And this thinking limited our thinking in a creative or interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary way. That's one thing. And the other thing that that's quite normal also in school, it's always the problem. If you develop something, you have more and more knowledge. And developing this, you have the feeling, well, that's important. I have to add this knowledge to the other knowledge I had before for the students. The next one say, I have a new knowledge. I will add this too. And the package is becoming more and more and more. And the students are coming and say, they can't learn all this during one study. It's not possible. So you have to have the courage to say, well, I do a little package and open the student to find their own track and to combine things I don't define in the starting point. And this kind of openness, and to say, well, maybe they find something I don't know. Maybe they are better than me. But that's okay. Maybe it's even what I want. And this kind of openness and this kind of freedom is a challenge for a professor. And this challenge even for everybody, for every parents, for every teacher. And this has to be one of the most important starting points, to have this open mind.
So we also think to need to explain why we think, at least, that this transdisciplinary approach, this openness, the sake for the freedom of the science and society, of course, and sake for the freedom of the art is necessary. I think that we all would agree that not a single discipline or not a single expert would find the answer to the real big challenges of the world, like, name it, climate change, migration flows. Digitalization, definitely, as well, one of the big challenges coming. So we all agree that this is the reason why we need to go transdisciplinary. And in addition to that, I think that we, in the past 100 years of that curricular situation or system that we have been raised, and we all have been gone through this, one fundamental aspect I think was missing, and this is we've all learned to create systems or to come out or live with that systems that existing and build upon those systems, also in technological terms. Mm-hmm. Which ended up to a certain degree on disciplines like, and I'm going to the digital world, the technical university again, disciplines like user-centered design or something, where the understanding of the user is coming from the understanding of a consumer rather than a human. And I think user-centered design is such a matter of the last millennium. And we need to construct, 5 minutes to go, we need to construct human-centered architectures, human-centered systems. And that starts with the fundamental research in our science and scientific system.
Even in human digitization or digital human identities, we need to have an idea what is human in the century or in the area of digitization. This is not so easy.
And that was the bell to signal the final 5 minutes of the talk. And so far we have had a lot of interesting discussions about providing truly transdisciplinary or interdisciplinary education where there's openness and freedom and more human-centered thinking. And through these discussions, what would be like the ultimate final question and the mission that we can move towards as a society?
I like your last question, actually, that we need to formulate what's humanism now in this digital age. And therefore an entire university for digital humanism wouldn't be the worst thing. Yeah. I think it's actually the right thing to approach to.
Yes, and that's very transdisciplinary. So you only can do that. I think it's very important what you said also. Not human as a user or a consumer or a student or in kind of a function, but in a really holistic idea. Yes, and that thing is very, very important.
And
nothing to add to, even though there is 2 minutes to go. But that is very, very. I think that's the fundamental agreement that we can find so far, at least.
Maybe one thing, what human has is a really good sense for quality and truth. And art is living from that humans are always searching and are always responding on very high quality, even if we don't know what quality is. But it's an impression, it's an experience. You see, wow, this was wonderful, this was so touching, this was really truth. And I think this gives an orientation. So maybe arts give not only meaning, but give really a sensual orientation in this really complex world. And this could be a leading point for the arts in education.
Beautiful. Art as a compass for humanity.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. You're right. Yeah.
yes, and I think that has always been the theme for Ars Electronica Futurelab as well, being able to bring together all of the different ideas of our researchers, I think, are also from different fields and different backgrounds, and being able to collaborate together always helps us envision the future in a brand new way. So I do agree that in the future it would be wonderful to have this open, free, humanized educational system for younger generations to learn and in a truly creative way.
And this is wonderful too, because this is international. So this point of the moment of the experience of something wonderful is shared by everybody, even youth and very old people, from Asia to America to Europe.
Yes.
It's not a question from the place where you come from, the nation or the culture. This is such a fundamental human experience. This has also the quality of peace, of course, and the quality of shared experience to be alive, to be in the world. Yeah. And this, I think, this could be much more placed in the focus of all our education and all our thinking about how to deal with future questions. Yeah.
I agree, and I look forward to actually seeing the new technology university where we can all learn together in a free and open way. So thank you very much, panelists, for your time today, and thank you, the audience, for joining us today. See you again in our next Creative Questions Challenge. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.